Good morning, class. My name is Mrs. Barrows. Today's lesson is called Subtraction using base 10 blocks. First, I'd like to go over some vocabulary terms and a formula that we'll be using during today's lesson. So our vocabulary term, the first one is called subtraction, which is the process of taking a number from another number. Process of taking a number or amount from another. The formula that we're going to be using looks like this. We have the first number minus the second number. An example is 25 minus 13 equals 12. This is what your formula should look like. We have our blocks here. So this is a ones block, and it looks like this. We have a tens block, which looks like this, which is also called a rod. We have a hundreds block, which looks like this, and it's also called a flat. And then we have a thousands block that looks like this. I will give you a sheet to take home, a worksheet that just has the formulas for you all written down, so you can keep that in your math binder. I'll give that to you later. And then I did show all of the different blocks on here for the base 10, but today we're only going to be using ones blocks and tens blocks. Now, if you'll please take out your math notebooks, I'd like you to write down some math steps. These are the steps that we'll be using to solve our problems. I'll go over these steps with you, and then while I'm going over them, if you want to write them down, I'll also leave them on the board throughout the example problems so you can see them there as well. So step number 1 says find the first and second numbers represented by the blocks. Step number 2, set up your subtraction problems with your number. Step number 3 is to solve the first number minus the second number. And step 4, box your answers, rewrite and box your answers. So these are our math steps that we're going to follow. Is everyone done writing down the math steps? All right, we'll move on to some example problems. I'm going to work 3 examples on the board using the math steps. Let me know by raising your hand if you have any questions along the way that I can answer for you. So example problem number 1 says subtract and solve using base 10 blocks. So we're going to follow our math steps and solve this problem. The first step says to find the first and second numbers that are represented by the blocks. So we have 10, 20, 21, 22. So we'll go ahead and write our number 22. That's our first number. Our second number is 10, 11, 12. So we'll write that. Now we found our numbers. So we're going to move to step 2. Set up your subtraction problem using your numbers. So we have 22 minus 12. This is what our problem should look like. Number 3, step 3, we're going to solve. So we're going to do the first number minus the second number to solve. So 22 minus 12 equals 10. And then step 4 wants us to box in our answer and then rewrite and box the answer. So this is where we're going to rewrite it because it's our solutions. Our answers go over here as well. Problem number 1 is done. Do we have any questions so far? Okay, so we're going to move on to problem number 2, which again, subtract and solve using the base 10 blocks. We have 10, 20, 1, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 minus our second number, which is 10. So we're going to set up our problem using step 2. 28 minus 10 is what our problem should look like. Step 3 wants us to solve 28 minus 10 And then we'll write our answer down here. It's 18. Then we're going to go to step 4 and box in our answer. So step 4, box it in. And our answer is 18, so we're going to write it over here. And then our last example problem is this one. So we have 10, 20, 30, they're 1, they're 2, they're 3, they're 4, they're 5, 36 as our first number. Then we have 10, 21 as our second number. Step 2 wants us to set up our subtraction problem, which is 36 minus 21. That's what it should look like. And then step 3, we're going to go ahead and solve 36 minus 21. And then we're going to get our answer, 15. We're going to box it in. And then we'll also move to step 4 and box in, rewrite 15 and box it in. All right. Now that I've finished all the example problems, are there any other questions I can answer? No? Okay. Now we'll work some practice problems in our groups for about 20 minutes. And Lydia, if you could please pass out the practice problem worksheet. And while y'all are working these problems, I will walk around, check your work, and answer any questions that you may have. So I'm going to set that timer and we'll get started. Ding. Time is up. Thank you all so much for working well in your groups. I appreciate that. Right now we're going to go over the practice problems that y'all just did in your groups. Okay, so these are the practice problems that you were given to work in your groups, and while I was walking around, it looks like most of you did a great job. Our first problem that we have looks like this. It should be set up this way, and our answer is 13, which is over here. Then we have our second problem. Our numbers are 29 and 15. It should look like this, and your answer is 14. And then our last problem that I gave y'all looks like this. It's 37 and 16, should be set up this way, and then your answer should be 21. Are there any last questions before this lesson is done? No. All right. So if you would please go ahead and place this practice problem sheet that you did at your desk and the vocabulary terms and formula sheet that I was passing out earlier into your math notebooks. I'd like you to take those home with you, because I will also be sending you home with the homework, which will be a worksheet based on some of the problems that we did today that are similar that I want you to work on at home. Today we learned subtraction using base 10 blocks. And for our next lesson, we will continue with the subtraction using base 10 blocks, but instead we'll be using the hundreds and the thousands blocks. All right, that sounds great. Thank you.